Happy Friday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of You Gotta Be Sha Tinning Me, joined as always by Mr. Matt Carlson. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody. We made it, and if I keep delaying, we'll make it to the breakdown here in this little theme song. But Matt, cheers, buddy. I know. I know we've had we've had a rough week. I think both just with some work stuff and other stuff going on. But I had to go into the office 2 days this week, and I mean, you were talking. Yeah, I know you were talking to me about like more like long term like problems, but like, man, I've been going into the office like once a month for the past 2.5 years. I've only been there for 2 years. 2 years I've been working at this place, and you go in twice in 1 week, and then I got to go back in next week, and like I was just like zapped of all energy, and I'm just like, man, I don't remember how people used to do this.
Yeah, 5 days a week. I mean, my wife's a teacher, so like she rolls her eyes every time I'm like, oh, I can't believe I had to go in like 3 days this week.
Yep.
She's just like, she gives me that look like I need to stop talking. And over 10 plus years of marriage, or coming on 10 years of marriage, you know that look pretty well. It's so, but yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, and I don't even know now with kids, especially. I'm like, how did people do this like full time? Like, what did you do before you had to go to the office? I mean, I guess those were the days where you could like probably drink in the office and smoke in the office too. But like, so it's give and take. But
it's not Mad Men over there.
Anyway,
like,
yeah.
No, well, it's funny, right? So I used to work for a hospital that was much closer to me. It was about I don't know, it was like a half-hour drive ish, somewhere around there. And now that I'm going downtown, and it's about an hour and a half door to door for me. Now that's taking the train, right? And that's like building all the delays and stuff that happen. It's technically a little bit shorter, right? Like I leave if I need to get to the office by 9, I gotta leave a little bit after 7:30, right? And that's like driving to the train station, parking, walking to the train, getting on the train, walking to another train, taking that train, getting to the office, right? But like when you do that, when you're doing it like when you commuting like that via train, like I'm on my phone the entire time, like it was much easier. But driving with traffic, hour 15-ish normally, but if traffic is bad, I mean hour and a half plus easy. And I was just like, you know what, like I'll take the extra 15 minutes hit, like guaranteed, just so that way I don't have to like sit in traffic.
Yeah.
I know I mean, do you have to deal with like city traffic where you're at, or are you just like, is it not?
By me, it's not major, and I live pretty close. So even like on the bad traffic days, I probably only have like a 20-minute commute each way. So it's not too bad. I mean, there's zero public transportation. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm by Hartford, so it's like Hartford's like the worst civil engineering city in the world. Like, there's no public transport. All the highways, like, they're immediate, like, exit as soon as you get on. Like, it's exit only lanes, like, to the entrance ramp. It's like the worst designed highway system in the world.
None of the streets go in like a straight direction.
No. I mean, it was like designed by cows, right? Much like
Yeah,
Boston was, where it was
that's
just,
funny.
everything is pathing all over the place and whatnot. So, yeah, there was no urban planning involved in any of that. So what probably could take 10 minutes, might take a half hour on a really bad day. But, even then, I mean, the only benefit to me going into the office is like, I don't have to bet like Indy or something like that, where I'm clearly just throwing money away and lighting it on fire, but betting carryovers where I'll inevitably go 2 out of 5. That's the only real thing I like going to the office for at this point. It probably saves me money.
Right. I mean, everyone will tell you, right, how much money they save not commuting now, but maybe for us, it costs us more money.
It's the exact opposite. The way I've been playing Happy Valley lately, Wednesday mornings, I should be there at like 7 a.m. like rearing to go, sitting at my desk. So
that, I'd bet Harmony and Blessed in that last race at Happy Valley, and I think what finished second. in that race?
If that, I can't
If
even
that, I
remember.
don't
But
remember.
yeah, no,
But
I tend not to think lightning will strike twice.
I
So
was I saw
gotta
I
say
saw
you'll
that and
win.
I was like, oh, I gotta bet this horse, but um, yeah. So Memorial Day weekend, there's tons of racing this weekend. Obviously, I think Santa Anita, the Gold Cup, the Hollywood Gold Cup, I think is this week. So it's a pretty big stakes race, but not what it once was. Obviously with West Coast racing, but obviously there's going to be
Yeah.
plenty of racing to bet. We got Sha Tin, and we're going to talk about the late pick 3, and I got 2 projects I'm going to try and get done this weekend, Matt. One, I think I'm going to actually brew a beer. I was asking you, I was giving you the double check on those yeast packets. So I think I'm going to give them a go. I
The
might
worst
proof
thing that
them.
happens is it doesn't. You can, right?
I
Like
might
the
proof
worst
them
thing
and
that
see if I know
happens
if they're alive. But
for those listening, right? Like you sent me pictures of yeast packets that theoretically expired what over a year ago, about a
no,
year
6 months
ago.
ago.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, those should work, right? And I mean, if you especially if you double up on them, right? Like they were in the fridge, they were stored fine. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're fine. I'm pretty sure. The worst
Now my
case, right,
hops.
is yeah, those again, like you're not gonna cause an infection in your beer. They just might not be as hoppy. Toss a couple extra in.
Well,
That's
yeah,
it.
and so
It's
now
fine.
here's
So
a great thing, right? So the kits I think I have a copy of, it's called Dead Ringer. So it's a copy of Two Hearted. So I think it's all Centennial hop. I have a American Strong Ale that I think is supposed to be a clone of Arrogant Bastard. If you remember that beer from Stone, I mean, we're going way
way
back.
back, but
And then I think I got like a single hop IPA and I think a stout of some kind. But my idea was I think I'm gonna do the strong ale. I'm gonna do the American strong ale. I'm gonna double pitch that yeast, which it's dry yeast, so whatever. But at least that way, hopefully one of the packets is viable.
yeah.
And then I might use an extra like I'm gonna see what the hops smell like, and maybe I'll toss in an extra thing of hops in there, and we'll see what happens. I mean, we'll assume like the thing is no matter what, right? All of the color on that malt extract I have is, I mean, it's done. Like I have a pilsner malt extract, which is the lightest that they make, and it looks like medium malt extract at this point, right?
That's
So
probably the most nervous I would have is like oxidizing your sugars in there.
yeah,
That
yeah. I mean, like
but
I figure I'll give it a taste, right? We'll see what happens. I mean, I
you'll
don't
make
know.
alcohol, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it'll get you drunk, right? Like it's hard to make something. You can't make anything that'll harm you. Put it that way. Worst case, it tastes bad, but
I
you make
mean, I
booze
look
and
at
you get through it.
I've flown really close to the sun, and I've yet to infect the beer. So like, we'll see what happens with that.
Even when you do, just let it sit for 9, 12 months. Make a sour. Tell people you did it intentionally. It'll taste like garbage because
Yeah, there you
it's not
go.
meant to be. But the best thing you can do in home brewing is to learn when to dump your beer, right? And like I was one of those home brewers that was always like, oh, if I brewed it, I have to drink it. And I think I told you, right? The problem with that is if you brew 5 gallons of something really good, everybody else will want to drink it. If you brew 5 gallons of something really bad, you are drinking it. No one else is going to drink that thing. So dump your beer because unless you really want to go through 5 gallons of stuff, it's not enjoyable. But
Did I tell the story? Did I tell the cream ale story?
I maybe I know I think you said you brewed one that was really good, but
Okay, I have told the story then, yeah. But like, so my brother-in-law, we used to brew together. He actually like he's the one who got me thinking about it again because he's been brewing again,
yeah,
and so I was like, we maybe we should do it again. And I just figured, I got some time this weekend, so
it's a good time to
but
get back into it. There's a lot of cheap equipment out there. People are getting out of the hobby, so for
well, I
anyone
still
looking to,
have all my equipment, so that's not a
yeah, no,
problem.
same with me. It's back there, but yeah, so
But
I just haven't touched it.
what was funny though is yeah, so like the one beer I brewed without him was like ended up being like the best one that I brewed. and he was kind of like, "Wait, maybe I'm the problem," which is kind of funny. But yeah, but that's one project I got to do. The other one is I have a probably about 12 to 15 pound primal of skirt steak I got to break down. So I got it in the fridge right now because it was frozen. I have family that used to work in meat packing, or they work in meat packing. So we get uh, every once in a while they'll be like, "Hey, do you guys want anything?" They're letting us buy XYZ from the meat packing plant. So like sometimes like we'd get like vacuum sealed like skirt steaks, like or not skirt steaks, strip steaks, or rib eyes or stuff like that, or but the thing, obviously, being Mexican, the thing that we like the most is the skirt steak, right? Arrachera. So we get it in like the big packs like this, right? It's like the size of like two footballs, basically. And you got to take the whatever they call it, the silver skin or whatever, and everything. You
Yep.
just kind of
Trim
butcher
it.
it down, put it into smaller steaks, and then I usually just vacuum seal those. I'll do them in uh, like pound, break them up to like 3 or 4 steaks and that are a pound, and I vacuum seal them and I freeze them so that way it's not like my wife's vegetarian, so obviously if I make more than that, like it's gonna be tough to get through it. So, but that takes me, depending on like how motivated I am, it takes me like hour and a half, 2 hours to do it. So it's kind of, it's kind of a pain, but um, yeah, we literally like we don't have a well, I do have a chest freezer. It's a Keizer, but I don't have an actual real freezer. So I literally have this big haunch of meat in like the freezer above our fridge, right? So it's taking up valuable real estate. So I figured, hey, I'll get the grill out tomorrow and cook up some steaks. So fun stuff, right?
I was gonna
Cooking and
say
home brewing stuff.
your projects are way better than mine. I just got a ton of yard work to get through and shit. So
Oh man. But yeah, let's why don't we take a look at this pick three though. We got we're gonna start here at race 8. The Viva Pataka handicap here. We're going 8 furlongs here, the 1 turn mile. We're gonna be class 4 racing. And you know, I took a look at this race and it was, obviously my eyes kind of went to this two, right? California totality. Coming in off two wins. Um, and it's coming basically right back to this same trip, same class. But I mean, I think the horse can win. I don't think the horse is without a shot in this spot, but it's gone off the favorite the last 3 times. I think you're going to get a real short price on this horse. And the horse that's picking up an additional 6 pounds. And if you go back when this horse picked up 7 pounds the time before, you saw the winning margin kind of narrow a little bit. So now you're adding even more weight, and now you're getting an even worse draw, right? So I just think that this is the time to bet against. And I'm not like reinventing the wheel here. I'm not really sticking my neck out. I'm probably picking who could maybe go off favored, if not going to be the second choice, I think, in this race, as my top pick, and that's going to be the 8 Circuit Fiery here. Obviously, Zach Purton stays aboard here. This is a horse that has steadily improved each of his starts. Is one that's going to get a little bit more ground under him, and I just think that if this horse takes another step forward, I mean, I think that this horse should win. I think looking at the Speed Pro figures, this is just an improving type here, and I think getting the extra distance underneath is going to help. So Zach staying aboard, I think, is a great sign. And you just saw all the money that this horse took last out, went off at 4.5 to 1. So I would be surprised if this horse doesn't just go off as your second choice. If not, fights for favoritism in this spot. The other horse that I have written down as a B is the 13 Northern Beast. And this is a little bit of a Matt Carlson play, I think, here, where I'm looking at the draw, I'm looking at the weight, I'm looking at a horse that not too long ago won, going this distance, albeit two turns at Happy Valley, and is getting a bit of a weight break here with Matthew Poon getting the board. And I look at that run last time, and I mean, this horse put his neck in front there at the top of the stretch, and it just seemed to kind of run out of gas. So we're was kind of wheeled back after about 2 weeks rest there. I think is coming back here off of like 3 weeks. So getting a little bit extra rest here. So yeah, I thought that this is one with getting that little bit of a additional weight break. I mean, he's going to be only carrying 118 pounds. I thought that this was definitely one in here that's got races that fit here, and is gonna get kind of lost on the board because I really do think that these two, the 8 and the 2, are gonna take a ton of money. So I think if you like anybody outside those two, I think you're definitely gonna get your price. So I got the 8 as my A. I have the 2 written down as a B, but that might just be a little bit. That might be a little defensive there. And I got the 13 Northern Beast written as a B as well. But Matt, how did you see this race?
Yeah, I ended up on a lot of different horses than you, but probably for similar reasons, right? I mean, I saw kind of California Totality as the same way you did, right? I mean, has won two straight, but off of that is picking up 13 pounds from those races, and I think that's probably just too much. Where, I mean, we'll talk about race nine, but since I think race nine is going to chalk out a bit, kind of burying the lead, I want to find my price here, right? And so because of that, I looked at Circuit Fiery as well, and much like you, I was like, okay, could this horse win? For sure. Do I really want the second choice horse in this race? I don't think so. I don't think this horse, really wants the extra ground, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think, you know, given Zach getting up, it's going to take even more money than it normally would, right? Or any other horse in this race. And so I'm just not convinced that that horse is going to be worth the price that you get. I probably walk it in by saying that, but,
I
um, you know,
appreciate it.
I, yeah, well, there you go. You'll be the benefit of my betting, like many people probably are in the past few weeks. If I give you a horse, just bet everyone else. But I just didn't want to go there, right? And I was looking for other prices. I think my eye immediately went to, you talk about draw, you talk about low weight. I'm going to do one better than you. I really like the 14 horse Chili Baba. The reason for that, right? Look at the string of draws this horse has gotten the past like 5 races, right? I mean, I guess don't count the 1,000 yard race or 1,000 meter race rather, because that you probably want to be draw where it was, but it's past races. It's gone off the 11 post, the 12 post, the 11 post, the 13 post, the 11 post, the 10 post, the 9 post. I mean, this horse has not been drawn anywhere near the rail for a huge string of races. And you see what happens when that occurs, right? This horse was going off at 128 pounds, got down to 124 pounds, was competitive from the 13 post at 124, gets a bad draw 123, 121, 119. Now it's all the way down at 117 and finally gets the 4 post. Um, you know, I think that just, eventually luck comes around in this, right? Hong Kong has a way of, regressing to the mean, especially down in these classes. And so that's where I really want to go, right? I think this horse is 4. It can, I don't think the races that it's run have been all that terrible from the draws it's gotten, and so now I think it's advantaged where it is. I also do think things that you've seen probably in the past few weeks, you don't want to be like a huge deep closer here anymore. I think once the weather starts warming up into the summer months in Hong Kong, and even part of the reason next week they start running twilight racing is because those courses get baked out pretty quick, right? I mean, the course dries out as it is. It's got excellent drainage, but also, you start running into summer heat. Um, you don't really want horses that are going to try to be bombing from the back. And I think this horse can, get decent position from its draw, um, and show something. So that's where I want to go. I think that's probably where I'll put most of my money, to be honest, because I really do want to take a swing in this race and say, okay, that's the horse that I want to key in on and focus on. So I think that'll be my A here. Um, A couple other horses that I liked. I know I just said I don't really like a deep closer, and I think the next horse I'll give you is a deep closer, so that's probably why it's a B. Normally it would be an A, just based on running line alone. But the 11 Joyful Prosperity, right? If you look, the race three back was actually the shared race with California Totality. It was, I think it was drawn wide. It was drawn in the 13 post. Zach was actually up there. Um, you know, it's probably about as good as a trip you could ever get from the 13 post, to be honest with you. Zach kind of takes it back. I think if you read the comments and the notes, it says it's steadied. I don't really think it steadies. I think Zach intentionally kind of pulls it back and says, okay, I need to get over to the rail. And he does very quickly. And so it gets a rail trip the whole way. It swings out into the path and ends up finishing third that race. Now, like we said before, California Totality has since picked up 13 pounds and is running 13 pounds against that horse. And this horse has lost 2 pounds from that race because it was, it shipped over to Happy Valley and was running 2 turns, which I don't think it wants to do. So all that, basically you have a massive swing from what California Totality was running in that race, and I think won by, maybe 3 lengths or so. Um, the amount of weight that it's getting from that is way more than 3 lengths to me. And so to me, that puts this horse right there. If for whatever reason the course is playing fair to, two deep closers, then this horse I think has a really, really good shot. If I think it's going to be playing a little more forward, that's probably why to me it's going to be kept a B. But yeah, by all means, I think it has enough ability, just given that shared race with California Totality that you saw, who came back obviously to win next out. So that's kind of where I want to go. The other B that I'll have, which is really soft, I think is the 5 Daring Pursuit. I think of the other lightly raced horses, the 5 and the 8 were the ones kind of coming up to their, fourth, fifth, sixth races here. That's what I do think could relish the more distance, right? And same sort of thing, right? He's kind of had a little bit of a string of bad draws, breaking from the 9 post, the 8 post, to 10 post, and now draws the rail here. So, hey, I love me a good rail draw. If you get the luck, take advantage of it. And so I think you get a decent price. And like I said, if I'm looking for prices here, that'll be kind of where I fill. So the 14 Chili Baba will probably be my primary play, and the 11 and the 5 to kind of backfill as my Bs. And hey, hopefully we hit a price here, because if not, then I don't really think this sequence pays all that much anyway.
Yeah, and I think I think the reason you say that is because I think of the next race.
Yeah,
All
for
right,
sure.
race
Yep.
9. Like, trust me, I really, really tried to like figure out a way around this 9 called Glorious, but I mean, for all intents, like this horse should get the lead and should get a relatively easy lead. Gets a huge jock upgrade going from Lyle Hewitson to Zach Burton. I mean, won on debut with Lyle aboard, and ran 2 really good races after that. They both say awkward start. I don't know like how bad of a start really got there, but you get Zach aboard, who I think will get the horse out a little bit cleaner. But I just, I look at this race and I just really don't see much speed in here. I believe I believe Speed Pro, the speed map, had the 10 also kind of on the lead.
Yep.
I mean, they might be looking back at that race like 5 back, where the horse went, and the horse has got a better draw than Call Me Glorious, but yeah, I just have a hard time looking past the 9 here. I have it as a lone A. I mean, you look at this race and you got a lot of horses that have wins here, but I just feel like the 3 is going to want to come from off of it. The 6 is want to come from off of it. The 7 wants to come from off of it. Like, I'm just looking at other horses that have wins. The 11 wants to come from off of it, and I just think the 9 is a horse that is coming in good form. Is a horse that's run really, really good figures, and is a horse that's gonna be forwardly placed. And I mean, is drawn outside, but everyone else is going to take up. I mean, I just don't see how this horse just doesn't get it all his own way, and gets that tracking trip, if not goes wire to wire. So I was lone A here on the 9.
Yeah, I mean, similar, right? I think if you watch that race last out, the break was bad. I think the worst part of it was with Lyle Hewitson up. He kind of panics and like sends that horse really hard forward.
Mm.
Um, to your point, right? Like, I think Speed Pro just factors that in from a data perspective, but look at the turn of foot that horse has when it breaks bad and tries to rush up to the lead. But what Lyle Hewitson does to that horse is, I mean, it's almost criminal, right? It's about as poor a ride as you could get. It tries to rush up, panics, keeps it three wide, keeps it outside cover. The horse really wants to get to the lead, and he's kind of trying to pull it back. It, it's almost comical to be like, if and I think I probably bet that horse at short odds last time too, and it's like the way to lose a race. Like, you'd be tearing up your tickets thinking, how the heck did that just happen? So yeah, I mean, I think clearly Call Me Glorious is the horse to beat here. I think we'll be really short. I was kind of hopeful maybe the one takes money. Forget the name of the one. Um,
Oh, Little
Little
Bros.
Bros, yeah, who's I mean
Yeah.
kind of dropping massively from a class one race into here, which I was like, okay, I've never seen that before. But I don't know that I just don't think that horse is good enough. Maybe it could win, and I mean maybe if the price is good enough in there, okay. I think I forget. I forget who does the morning lines here, but they put it at 2 to 1. You'll get above 2 to 1 for sure because I don't think that Call Me Glorious will go off 9 to 5. I think you'll probably get closer to 1 to 2 if that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I thought the 9 was a pretty solid A here. I did like the 3 Solid Impact. I think that horse has kind of found what it wants to do. Getting back to the 6 furlongs here, getting back to the 1,200 meters. I don't know if it's good enough. Obviously, it's picking up 6 pounds, so probably a toss. But hey, depending on price, I just don't think you get the price, even if that horse goes off 6, 7 to 1. Right? It's going to be maybe your third choice. That's probably not where you want to bet it. And so it's probably a pass. So you could make an argument that it could be competitive if things go wrong again for the 9. The only other horse that I really wanted to look at, I think, and kind of the unknown here is the 5, Prestige Always. What really caught my eye, obviously, this horse has had a pretty fair layoff. The last out, it was running a Group 3, and what caught my eye was Ryan Moore was riding that horse. I don't think you get Ryan Moore up in a foreign race. I know, obviously it's one of their big days, most likely, and he's going to be on some horse in a Group 3, but I don't think you pay to have Ryan Moore up if you don't think that horse has some ability. And I do think this is the type of horse that gets lost on the board a little bit, right? In a race where you have a lot of competitive horses, a lot of them winning in Hong Kong, you might get double digit odds on this horse. And to me, with enough unknowns, I think that's worth a play. I do think it's worth, maybe a B, maybe even price dependent. You do throw it in as an A, you kind of key that up just because you'll get the value there. So if you are looking for a value play, I think that 5 to me is where you would want to go. Because really, I think that's at least an unknown where a lot of the other horses in this race are probably a known quantity and known enough where I wouldn't want to really play them. So, that's where I'll go. The 9 is an A, and then the 5 is probably an A as well, just from a price perspective to try and again make this thing pay out a little bit. But ability wise, probably more of a B.
Did you see the notes on the 5?
I did
Uh,
not, and that's probably why I played it.
the horses by the same sire. I love how generic sometimes the notes are, because like they're like horses by the same sire, which like I mean, of course, a lot of these horses sire who knows how many horses, but obviously the same sire as California Spangle and Beauty Eternal. But I guess he's a full brother to Nordic Dragon, so I don't know if that horse rings a bell at all for you. But it was interesting, right? This is a horse that's got 6 trials. It's got 1 win and 1 placing. So has a little bit of has shown a little bit in trials. Um, yeah, that's a good point about that last out where you get Ryan Moore aboard. Yeah, you don't Ryan Moore is very he can be select on if and when he rides even
Yeah,
on
you'll
these
see
big
him only
days.
get up
So
for 1 or 2 mounts. Like he will come and just ride the mount he's going to and leave. Right, he
yeah,
does not care. So yeah, it just caught my eye a little bit of like, okay, maybe if you're gonna go elsewhere in here.
yeah. I like I said, I'm sticking with the 9. I will just note these two things because I thought it was interesting. The one Little Bros. I mean, if you go by Speed Pro, Energy Figs ran just the best. Has got the best race in the group here, total. Period. Stop. But I don't know if that's a buyer thing where like, hey, it's a grade one, so or it's a group one, so we're gonna boost this fig up a little bit, even though it wasn't, so I don't know where that how that race really fits. Obviously, I think he was a little bit in over his head there, but that was interesting. And then also the six Phoenix Light on Speed Pro is one that's been improving the last 5 starts. Even though he won 3 back, and finished second and won another one. I mean, each figure has steadily improved. So this is one on the improve. So this could be an interesting one. I honestly, the only reason I'm kind of playing against this one is just because of the fact that I just think that he's going to leave himself a little too much to do. I mean, was a little bit closer up, I think, last time than he normally has been. Was still 10th, but he was 10th by 4 lengths, right? It was a real compact group versus where he's been sitting, ninth, and being like 5, 6 lengths off of it. So maybe if the horse kind of stays a little bit more forwardly placed, maybe he's got a shot. But he was another one that on Speed Pro at least looked interesting, looked to be an improving type, even though he's 6, which is not necessarily something you see all the time. But I don't know. If the draw was better and there was maybe a little bit more pace in here, the 6 would be one my eyes would go to a little bit more. But I just thought there were two kind of interesting notes from Speed Pro there. So, race 10, Class 3, 7 furlongs, the unicorn distance. Matt, I took the first two, so why don't you take us out here? Where did you land in this race?
Yeah, I thought this race could go a lot of directions. I think there's two horses I keyed in on, but I do think you could probably make an argument for a lot of horses in here. Like I said, I think I was trying to get skinnier just based on that 9 winning last race, right? The two that kind of stuck out, the first was the two Galaxy Witness. I think my eyes kind of went back to the last one-turn race it was running. This horse has been running at Happy Valley the past few. Um, and so, you know, just you have to go all the way back to November 5th. Um, but I think to me that race was good enough, and the company it kept in that race was good enough to win here. And I think that's where my eyes kind of went to just say, okay, I always like a horse that shows some ability doing something and then does something else for a while because I think, it just resets the weight. It resets kind of everything that horse is doing. And oh, by the way, right, if you look at the overall record, I think that kind of bears out that this might be really what that horse wants to do, right? It's hit the board 5 out of 8 times, going 1400. You know, it's only got 4 wins at 26 tries for elsewhere. So right, it's two for whatever that's going to be, 2 for 18 otherwise, and then 2 for 8 at 1400. Okay, so to me, that's a 7 furlong horse. Great. And I don't know that there's many 7 furlong horses anywhere, let alone here. So that's just kind of where I went. First and foremost, I like the move back. I do think you get a bit of weight, and so kind of scratching a little bit. I said, okay, I think this is one where I would take Galaxy Witness here and at least say, okay, this is what this horse wants to do. The other horse that stuck out, I think, was the 10 Ruby Lot. Look, this horse hasn't shown too much otherwise, but the effort granted last time on yielding really kind of jumps off the page, right? I'm always hesitant to take off goings and try and say, yeah, those efforts were real, right? I do think, especially the way that I'm kind of timing things and trying to do it from a calculation standpoint, you know, off goings really kind of screw with those things sometimes because you get certain races that are run really fast and certain races that are run really slow. I think it just magnifies the distances or the differences there. But look, I think this horse has been running a lot of kind of those straight races, those 1,000 meter Sha Tin races, and I think its better efforts are absolutely making a turn, right? And so I do think getting the extra distance going 7 furlongs here, I think it can back up that effort from last time. Derek Lung clearly isn't James McDonald, for
Hmm.
sure, but I think the rapid improvement given this horse is 3 isn't unexpected. I do think it has the chance to back that effort up from last time. And so, I thought, hey, even with the move up in class, it could absolutely show something here. So those are the two that I'll use. I think the 2 and the 10. I wanted to make a case for the 8, Torben Prince with Zach kind of getting up there. But to me, it looks too slow on paper, and I think that horse will just, take too much money. Same with the 7 to me, Superb Kid, right? I thought it was too concerning that Zach would hop off that horse for the 8. And I know I've been burned on that before trying to chase jockey moves here because there's a lot more that goes into it. But yeah, I think try to get a little skinny and just kind of use those two in the 2 and the 10.
Yeah, I had a hard time not using the 7. I know the switch from Burton to Hewitson, not great, but this is a horse that in 5 tries at the distance, it's got 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a fourth. So the it's hard to leave this one off. I'm guessing this is going to end up going off your favorite, even with the switch, the jock switch. So obviously that was my top choice in this spot here. Another horse I liked, and I don't know if I'm just getting a little too crazy out here, but the 3 Rising from Ashes, and this is a horse that it seems like they haven't really known what to do with this horse. They've kind of jumped it all around, going to all kinds of different distances. It was going 2 turns at Happy Valley, going 2 turns at Sha Tin, 1 turn at Sha Tin, 2 turns at Happy Valley. Then they cut the horse back, but this is a horse that I think does have a race. If we go 5 back, that does kind of fit with the rest of this group. Obviously, that was in class 1, but this is a horse that's kind of, I feel like maybe was just eventually just like in way over his head. Made it was all the way in class 1, just dropped the heck out of class 2, and is now in class 3. So I just think that this horse is just kind of was completely off form, was in way over his head, maybe moved up too fast, or maybe just started up there. I don't really know where what kind of happened with the horse, but I think this is a horse that's just kind of fallen down the class ladder. Is finally back in class 3, and in class 3 he's gotten 3 of his 4 wins here at in Hong Kong. So I just think that kind of coming back down to the probably class that this horse should be in. His on Speed Pro has got races that fit, and it's just kind of dropped, like just like I said, dropped really fast down the class ladder. And I think you're going to get a huge price on it. So I'm just sitting here. I'm just trying to figure out, find a bomb, find something different. I think the 7 Superb Kid is going to take a ton of money. I think the 10 is going to take a bit of money too. Ruby Lot, coming off that win, obviously beat Circuit Fiery, who we talked about a little bit earlier. So I thought that was another one that I mean, obviously it's got a shot in here, but I think it's going to be one that takes a bit of money. The only other horse, I didn't have. I'll probably make this a B. Is the 4 Top Gun? And this is a horse, obviously first time out, won, and I think that normally these types of horses get bet, and they get bet hard. But I think with the 7, 8, and 10 in here, I think maybe there's a chance that you get a better price. on this 4, then maybe you should. So yeah, I'm gonna use the 4 as a B here. Top Gun, obviously won wire to wire last time out. I don't necessarily think that. I mean, the 8's gonna want to go, and the 8 I think is drawn just as good as the 4. So maybe that pace will maybe take something out of them, but I'd prefer the 4 to the 8. So I'll be 7, 3, and 4 in here.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with that for. I thought it would take a lot of money. I honestly thought it would go off favored. So but I've been way wrong before. So
What do they have on the morning line?
good question. I scrolled up to the Group One race, 9-2. Um, so not too bad.
I'd be happy with that. I mean, that would definitely be something I would.
It's probably a play at 9-2.
Anything else on this card that you looked at?
I did take a very quick glance at the Group One. Like Rebels Romance is running here.
Oh, nice.
That's a really great race. I don't know who you actually want to play in that race. I don't know that I have a strong betting opinion there, but just from a pure like racing fan perspective, like you get Buick up on Rebels Romance going against like Straight Aaron, 5G Patch, Russian Emperor, Massive Sovereign. Like that's a great race. So that might be one that I set the alarm for and watch, just as a fan, if nothing else. Yeah, I'm not sure where I go, but I think I would try to get around Rebels Romance, but I don't know. I've talked before about trying to get around, two-turn horses here, and I don't think that Hong Kong really has the best of it. So maybe not, but we'll see.
Well, that's going to do it for us here at You've Got to Be Sha Tin Me. Obviously, check us out at ontherwronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. I am at Cherry Drang. Matt is at Slow and Steadied. Make sure you like, subscribe. If you listen to the audio version of this, go ahead and make sure you download. And hey, even if you don't listen to it, download it. More downloads, the better. But have a happy Memorial Day weekend, guys. We'll see you later.